Oh, it's not a sundae. It's a banana split.
He's pretty good at that.
Right?
Welcome back, ScreenRanters. Once the MCU actors appeared in a Marvel film, their careers took off to new heights. Now they can roll about in their mountains of money until their heart's content, bless them. But before Marvel came calling, some of the MCU actors popped up in some really bad films, like really bad. So much so that they would love to strap on the Infinity Gauntlet and snap the films out of existence. Today, we're going to peek at some of the cinematic regrets that these actors have. Thanks to World of Warships for sponsoring this video. World of Warships is the free-to-play naval action game where you command some of history's most iconic war vessels. Sign up today and use the code READYFORBATTLE2020 to earn a whole bunch of in-game goodies like doubloons, credits, and 2 free ships. 2006 was a vital year in the career of one Robert Downey Jr. In 2003, he had finally gotten clean after years of substance abuse. Downey wasn't looked at favorably in the industry during 2006, so getting cast in a family film seems like a good idea. Get some nice publicity and some money. However, it was The Shaggy Dog. It's the film where Tim Allen is basically a werewolf, only he turns into a sheepdog rather than a human wolf. Downey took on the role of Dr. Kozak, the villain of the film. The film was panned by all. It went that badly that it dented Downey's comeback. However, he'd soon appear in Richard Linklater's A Scanner Darkly in the same year of 2006. From there, he took on the helmet of Tony Stark and the birth of the MCU. It worked out pretty great. The first XXX was alright. It was brainless, high-octane action. A type of film where you could go look through your ex's photos on Facebook and not miss out on any plot details as it plays in the background. Well, the filmmakers decided to do a sequel, one that has 3 names for some reason. As soon as the original film's star and director Vin Diesel and Rob Cohen saw the script, they pulled out of the project. The writing was on the wall for the sequel's outcome. They played the Bourne Legacy card 7 years before that film came out. They cast Ice Cube in the main role to replace their star of their franchise. But one of the thespians in the original stayed on for XXX 2, Samuel L. Jackson. It did terribly at the box office, just about making half of its budget back. Most of the complaints state that the film requires a bigger suspension of disbelief than humanly possible. Luckily, in just 3 short years, Jackson would arrive in the MCU as Nick Fury.
I'm here to talk to you about the Avenger Initiative.
After 2005's Sin City, comic creator turned film director Frank Miller was riding high on critical acclaim. So with that smash hit, he was bound to get another project to play with. That turned out to be 2008's comic book adaptation, The Spirit. It didn't go well, obviously, since it's on this video. Scarlett Johansson took on the role of femme fatale Silken Floss, a role that mostly used the actor as little more than eye candy. Yeah, gross. The film took on a similar black and white stylized theme that made Sin City stand out. However, the content in The Spirit was far tamer than Sin City due to an age rating of PG-13. Considering the film made $39 million at the box office on a budget of $60 million, it lost the production company a lot of money. 2 years later from The Spirit, Johansson would make her name in a good comic book film adaptation. Soon, we'll hopefully see her in her solo film. Prior to strutting about in Marvel films as Thanos and Cable, Josh Brolin would take on another comic role, Jonah Hex. But the DC cult classic comic character was a far cry from the version we saw in the 2010 film. Many critics pointed at the film's disjointed story as its biggest flaw. The film had moments of being decent, but had far too many horrible moments to make up for it. Jonah Hex made less than a quarter of its $49 million budget back at the box office. Due to how bad it did in the domestic box office, the film wasn't widely released internationally, making only a further $500,000 in the select countries it came out. But the film did pick up some awards and nominations on the way. The award was for Worst Film at the Houston Film Critics Society Awards in 2010. 2 of the nominations were for categories at the 31st Golden Raspberry Awards, so yeah, not great. When Mark Ruffalo first arrived in the film industry, he would appear in a number of low-budget, scary movie pictures. One of the first films he was in was 1996's The Dentist. The story is about a dentist who loses his marbles and has severe delusions. He then takes out his anger on his patient's teeth. Ruffalo played talent manager Steve Landers. He's only in the film for a couple of scenes, one of which involves unknowingly saving his client from the dentist's grotesque actions. The film played too much on the graphic nature of the dentist's technique. A lot of close-ups of teeth being attacked violently. This fascination diluted an interesting story beyond saving. Ruffalo would have to wait another 16 years after this dire film to make it into the MCU as Bruce Banner, the Hulk.
Smash.
Let's take a quick break to thank World of Warships for sponsoring this video. For those of you who have never played before, World of Warships is a massive online battle simulator where you square off against people across the globe for naval supremacy. With each ship being hyper accurate to the real thing, and over 300 ships total, every battle will make you feel like you're there. Weather effects are dynamic and unpredictable, which will keep you on your toes as you try and outmaneuver your opponents. Sign up today and use the code READYFORBATTLE2020 to pick up some awesome in-game goodies, but this is only for first-timers. Jump into World of Warships with your friends and experience some of the new content being updated every week. In 2015, Brie Larson became an Oscar winner due to her role in The Room, so she had her pick of films. For some reason, during 2017, she chose Basmati Blues. Larson plays an American scientist that goes to India to sell them genetically modified rice. Only it turns out, the rice would destroy the farming industry there. The filmmaker said the film is a rom-com musical that homages Bollywood. Many Indian film critics felt it was more parody/mockery of their culture rather than a homage. The critics laid into the film's offensive racial stereotypes as well as the main white savior theme of the story. Other film critics have stated that the film is dull, plays on tired tropes, and leaves no lasting impressions. On the plus side for Larson, the film received a limited release in cinemas. As such, not that many people saw it when it came out. Some of the older Generation Y representatives might have fond memories of 2001's Not Another Teen Movie. One of the leads in the film was none other than former Human Torch turned Captain America, Chris Evans. Teen Movie is very much a product of its time.
Guys, she's got glasses and a ponytail.
This film takes a lot of classic cult films involving teenagers and melts them into a big pot, yet instead of an unexpected tasty dish coming out, what arrives is what everyone was actually expecting. A confusing, gross meal that's usually scrapped into the bin with shame and plenty of regret. In fact, the amount of parodies was one of the biggest criticisms of the film. Well, that and the overly crude jokes. In order to understand every joke and reference in Teen Movie, you would have had to have seen all those films and remembered them in detail. It's like taking an interactive film quiz. As the name of the film suggests, the plot is all about the ancient gods from Egypt. However, the film wasn't good. At all. Chadwick Boseman played the god Thoth in the dire film. There's a lot of criticisms directed at this picture, such as the filmmakers relying too much on CGI battles to sell tickets. Gods of Egypt even received 5 nominations at the Golden Raspberry Awards. The film also received criticism for whitewashing the cast. Even Boseman agreed with the outrage. He stated in an interview with GQ that the reason why he took the role was in order to add diversity to the cast. Gods of Egypt made a little over its budget back at the box office, which isn't good. It's believed that the disappointing amount cost Summit Entertainment $90 million. Luckily, in the same year, Boseman would be able to wash away Gods of Egypt with his Black Panther debut in Captain America: Civil War. In 2002, the world got to see Britney Spears make her leading acting debut in Crossroads. The story is about 3 childhood best friends that go off on a road trip with a random guy they just met. One of the best friends is Zoe. I'm in 2 of the biggest box office hits of all time, Saldana. Crossroads was hated by film critics. It got a low score of 27 on Metacritic. They mostly felt that the coming-of-age tale that the filmmakers promoted was a lie. Instead, Crossroads was mostly seen as a long advert for Spears' brand. The random guy is played by Anson Mount. He portrayed Black Bolt in the disastrous Inhumans TV show. So if you ever wanted to see Gamora and Black Bolt hang out on screen, then Crossroads is the film for you. 2013's movie 43 is probably the worst film on this list. It has a Metacritic score of 18. That's really bad. It's an anthology film. Many short films connect to create an overall narrative involving a film producer pitching ideas. A lot of big names were in the film. Many of them tried to get out of their contracts but failed. Such big names include Kate Winslet, Hugh Jackman, and Richard Gere. Another is Chris Pratt. In his story, he plays Doug, a man that finds out his girlfriend Julie is a coprophiliac. We'll wait while you Google what that word means.
Will you poop on me?
What?
Doug tries his best to fulfill this request for her, leading to big meals and laxatives. But Julie runs away when Doug makes it weird. He runs into the road after her, but Doug gets hit by a car. Unfortunately, the car and Doug get covered in what coprophiliacs enjoy. It's a mess of a film. Only 1 year later, Pratt will become buff Peter Quill in the Guardians of the Galaxy. One last reminder before we go to check out World of Warships. We've added a bunch of info to the description of this video so you can see what kind of goodies you're in for when you sign up for free today using the code READY4BATTLE2020. Join over 30 million players already in action. And that's a wrap. Are there any other films that Marvel actors would like wiped from our collective memories? Pop your thoughts in the comments below. If you had a fun time with the video, like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out. Finally, thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time.